So, what is the real secret to innovation? I mean, the thing that truly separates the good from the groundbreaking. It's not about having the fanciest tools or the most expensive training. Nope. It's something way more fundamental. It all comes down to your mindset.
Think about this for a second. Have you ever wondered why one person can take, just a few simple tools and create absolute magic, while someone else, with all the latest gear in the world, just struggles? What is that difference maker? Well, the answer is that it all comes down to one single powerful thing. It is the missing ingredient that turns ordinary work into something extraordinary. Let's break it down like this. You've got 3 layers to innovation. First, there are tool sets. The actual hammers and nails, the software, the techniques. Then you have skill sets, how good you are at actually using those tools. But the most important layer, the one that guides everything else, that's your mindset. It's your attitude, your entire worldview. This is just a perfect way to put it. I mean, Picasso had the exact same paints and brushes that thousands of other artists had, but his mindset was on a completely different level. He wasn't just thinking about how to paint better, he was asking, wait, why does this have to be the only way? That simple question, that shift in mindset, is what led him to invent collage and totally change the art world forever.
So here's the bottom line, and it's so important. You can have the best tools, you can have world-class skills, but if your mindset isn't wired for real innovation, you're just going to end up making slightly better versions of what already exists. The real breakthroughs, they happen in your head.
Okay, so what does this right mindset actually look like? Well, you can boil it down to 3 core qualities. Think of them as the operating system for a design thinker. And here they are: a clear head, a deep heart, and a thick skin. They sound pretty simple, right? But believe me, finding the right balance between these 3, that's the real key. That's what unlocks everything. First up, a clear head. This is all about having a purpose, knowing what you're actually trying to do. It's not about learning design thinking just to learn it. It's about finding a real important problem that you care about and then using these tools to solve that. That's what gives your work direction. And this leads to such a freeing idea. You don't need to have the perfect answer for all time. You just need to have a clear direction for right now. It is so much better to make a choice and be wrong than to be stuck, totally paralyzed by confusion. Next, we need a deep heart. And this is all about empathy. This is the engine that drives all of design thinking. We're not talking about being overly emotional, but about being genuinely curious and proactive and understanding what other people are feeling, even when they can't quite put it into words themselves. And finally, you absolutely need a thick skin. Let's be real. If you try to do anything new, anything that matters, you are going to get criticized. It's just part of the game. A thick skin is your armor. It lets you take that feedback and learn from it without letting it crush your spirit or derail your vision.
But wait a minute, how does that even work? How can you have a deep heart that cares so much about what others feel, but also have a thick skin that lets you ignore what they think? I mean, that sounds like a total contradiction, doesn't it?
Well, here is the secret. It's a subtle but crucial difference. A deep heart means you care deeply about what other people think and feel in general. A thick skin means you don't let what they think and feel about you destroy you. It's empathy for them, resilience for you. They actually work together perfectly. So we know what this mindset is, but how do we actually build it? Let's get practical and look at a couple of mental models you can start using like today. First up, the zone of concern versus the zone of influence. Okay, imagine a huge circle of all the things you worry about. That's your zone of concern. Now, inside that, there's a much smaller circle of things you can actually do something about. That's your zone of influence. The trick is to stop wasting energy on the big circle and focus all of it on the small one. So how do you do it? It's simple, but it's not easy. You shrink that zone of concern by getting really good at saying no to things that are just distractions. And then you expand your zone of influence by saying yes to the opportunities where you specifically can make a difference. Here's another great tool, the ITC model. Think of it as a triage system for all the problems that come your way. For about half of them, the little annoyances, you just ignore them. For another big chunk, you tolerate them. But for that critical 10%, the real injustices, the big stuff, that's when you confront. This saves your energy for the battles that actually matter. Okay, let's tie this all back to the design process itself. How does this mindset really change the way you kick off a project? In those super important early stages of inspire and empathize.
Well, think of it this way. You have a choice. You can be a pharmacist or you can be a surgeon. A pharmacist just fills a prescription. Someone asks for something, they give it to them. It's a transaction. But a surgeon diagnoses the real, underlying problem. They ask why, and why again to find the root cause. That's where the deep value is.
This also means you have to get good at telling the difference between bruises and cancers. See, about 80% of the problems you'll face are just bruises. Annoying, sure, but they'll heal on their own if you just leave them alone. But that other 20%, those are cancers. If you ignore them, they will get worse. The design thinker's mindset is all about focusing your precious energy on finding and fighting the cancers.
Now, all of this early work, this inspire phase, it all leads to creating a design brief. And this isn't some boring project plan, no way. It's a powerful statement of intent. It has to be inspirational, it has to have some real constraints, but, and this is key, it also needs to be just vague enough to let your team get truly creative.
And honestly, there is no better example than this. JFK's moonshot speech was a perfect design brief. Go to the moon, that's incredibly inspirational. In this decade, boom, there's your constraint. But notice what he didn't say. He didn't say how to do it. That ambiguity, that creative freedom, is what unleashed one of the greatest periods of innovation in human history.
Here's another one, just as powerful. The mission of the Aravind Eye Hospital in India: eradicate needless blindness. It's so clear, it's bold, it's focused, it inspires everyone involved, but it doesn't tell them exactly which surgical technique or business model to use. That's the magic.
Because, in the end, this mindset isn't just for professional designers, it's for anyone who wants to solve problems that matter. So that brings us to the final question, and really the most important one. When you look at your world, at your work, at your community, what's the needless blindness that you were put here to fix?